We've come to a close in this survey of the early church and anti-Semitism. Now it's time to go back and discuss how the conclusions of certain people are affected. The main conclusion we can draw from this study is that passages like Matthew 27:25 didn't inspire anti-Semitism. They were misused as tools to confirm anti-Semitism that was already in progress for other reasons. If our sources are right, and if the pattern established in medieval times, as explained by Cohen, is historical, then much of that anti-Semitic sentiment may have been a reaction to anti-Christian sentiment among Jews. Neither, of course, justifies the other, although it does provide a historical explanation that excludes blaming New Testament passages for the origination. A second conclusion we can draw is that the idea of passages like Matthew 27:25 as a perpetual self-execration on Jews as a whole was a relatively late development. The earliest commentators saw the war and exile of 70 AD as the central enactment of judgment. The trend to extend the curse was one that grew over time. All of this leads back to our original conclusion. Assigning blame to a non-directive text like Matthew 27:25 can be a difficult endeavor and can result in illogical consequences. This can be illustrated by an example from my recent study on Hitler and Christianity, where I explained how the Old Testament was one of several inspirations for Nazi anti-Semitism. Yet who would consider it logical to blame the Old Testament for its inspiration of Hitler, especially when he so clearly mangled its intentions and content to suit his purposes? I've previously alluded to the modern debate over to what extent, if any, media products like violent movies or video games influence and inspire violent behavior. At an extreme, we have kooks like Charles Manson who claim to find strange hidden codes in the lyrics of the Beatles. Manson understood the song Blackbird, which urged a blackbird to take these broken wings and learn to fly, as a call to black persons to rise up in revolt against whites. Manson accomplished this feat by adding his own context to the Beatles' lyrics, so that they said what he wanted them to say. Although this is a more extreme example in exegetical terms, this is fundamentally no different than what anti-Semites do for texts like Matthew 27:25, and it's no more logical to blame Matthew for later anti-Semitism than it is to blame the Beatles for the activities of Charles Manson.